This week I attended a screening of the soon-to-be-released documentary, Emanuel. Emanuel is a documentary about the untold stories of the victims and survivors of the Charleston Church shooting. On June 18, 2015, I was driving with my family across the country, moving from Tucson, Arizona to Charleston, South Carolina. We were eating breakfast in a hotel at our halfway point when we saw news footage of a mass shooting that had taken place the night before at the historical Emanuel AME Church. The shooter was Dylan Roof, a 21-year-old white supremacist. As we stared at the television in the hotel lobby, we learned that Dylan was still on the run from the police and would soon be captured at a traffic stop in Gastonia, North Carolina. As the nation would soon come to learn, the faithful in attendance were gathered for a weekly prayer service. Dylan had attended the church before, and his presence was only taken as someone who was longing for prayer or community. And then he pulled out a handgun and killed 9 innocent worshipers, including the senior pastor. The documentary refers to these victims as the Emanuel 9. What happened next is a largely untold story, and that is where the documentary wants to now shine a bright light. In the midst of pain and suffering, the families of the Emanuel 9 faced the killer in court and spontaneously and individually offered words of forgiveness. It was their demonstration of grace that ushered the way for hope and healing across a city and the nation. It was their courageous example that demonstrated the power of the gospel in one of the most profound ways I have ever witnessed. The weight of the documentary comes from the intimate interviews with the survivors and the families of the victims. The documentary lets them share their story as only they can do. It powerfully weaves the history of race relations in Charleston, the significance and impact of the Mother Emanuel Church, and the hope that somehow emerges in the aftermath from the healing power of forgiveness. And I want to put hope in all caps here. Emanuel will be in movie theaters across the country for 2 nights only, June 17th and 19th. I know that I always talk about matters pertaining to Israel, but this is pressing and relevant to all of us as people of faith. To my Jewish and Israeli friends, I also ask that you consider seeing this movie. After the shootings this year in Pennsylvania and California, our Jewish neighbors are all too familiar with heartache. We know that racism and anti-Semitism must be fought and exposed for the evil that they are. Our houses of faith cannot be targets for the darkness that festers in the hearts of bigots and murderers. These things are not of God, but are the opposite of all we know to be true and right. When my family arrived to Charleston, I expected to see a city in flames. I held my breath and waited for the race riots. Instead, Charleston followed the example of the spontaneous act of grace exhibited by the survivors. What everyone found was a city and a people that would steal your heart. Emanuel proved that love conquers all. I encourage you to go to the movie's website, www.emmanuelmovie.com. Even the preview will have you in tears. Put in your zip code and find a theater near you. You have to see this film. Shabbat Shalom.